Dear brothers and sisters in Christ, today we will embark together on a deep reflection about true joy amidst adversity. We live in challenging times where trials and difficulties seem to grow daily. Yet the Word of God teaches us that genuine joy does not depend on external circumstances, but springs from a deeper and unshakable source, our relationship with Christ. In this video, inspired by the teachings of C.S. Lewis and the wisdom of Scripture, we will explore how we can find and cultivate this resilient joy, even in the darkest moments. It is an invitation to look beyond the immediate challenges and see the greater purpose God has for our lives. Prepare to be encouraged, challenged, and renewed in your faith. May the Holy Spirit guide and enlighten us as we reflect on these eternal truths. Let us, with open hearts, seek the joy that transcends life's storms. May God bless each one of you. Hey, you there. Yes, you, the one reading this right now. Have you ever stopped to think how strange it is to talk about joy when the world seems to be falling apart? Seems crazy, doesn't it? But what if I told you that true joy doesn't depend on circumstances? That it can spring up even in the driest soil and bloom in the most unlikely conditions? Well, my friend, get ready for a surprising journey. Let's dive together into this apparent paradox and discover how we can find genuine joy even when life seems to be throwing sour lemons in our faces. Think with me for a moment. We live in a time when bad news seems to multiply faster than rabbits. We open social media and are bombarded with tragedies, crises, and seemingly insurmountable challenges. It's like we're on an emotional roller coaster, only without the fun part. In this scenario, talking about joy might sound like an insult, or at the very least, a great naivety. After all, how can we be joyful when there's so much suffering around us? But here's the catch. What if joy wasn't just a fleeting emotion dependent on external circumstances? What if it were actually a conscious choice and attitude towards life? That's where things start to get interesting. Imagine joy as a small flame inside you. Life's circumstances are like the wind blowing around you. Sometimes that wind is gentle and pleasant, making it easy to keep the flame burning. Other times, it's a raging storm, threatening to extinguish it completely. The question is, will you let external circumstances determine whether your flame stays lit or not? Here's the secret many people don't realize. True joy is resilient. It doesn't depend on everything being perfect around you. In fact, it often shines brightest precisely in the most challenging moments. It's like that stubborn flower that sprouts through the asphalt, defying all odds. But don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we should ignore problems or pretend they don't exist. Far from it. Authentic joy is not an escape from reality, but a deeper and more meaningful way of facing it. Think of the great examples in history. People who faced unimaginable adversities and yet maintained an inner light that inspired generations. Nelson Mandela, finding purpose and hope during 27 years of imprisonment. Anne Frank, writing about the beauty of life, even while hiding from the Nazis. Viktor Frankl, discovering meaning in concentration camp. These examples show us that joy is not just a passive feeling, but an active force we can cultivate. It's a choice we make every day, sometimes every minute, to see beyond the immediate circumstances and connect with something deeper and more enduring. And you know what's most incredible? This joy has a multiplying effect. When we choose joy in the midst of difficulties, we not only transform our own experience, but also inspire and uplift those around us. It's like lighting a candle in a dark room. Suddenly, everyone can see a little better. So, my dear listener, as we embark on this journey together, I want to challenge you to rethink your conception of joy. Not as something that happens to us, but as something we actively choose. In the coming chapters, we will explore practical tools, deep insights, and inspiring stories that will help us cultivate this resilient joy. Get ready to laugh, cry, reflect, and above all, discover a source of joy within you that is stronger than any external storm. Let's do this. You know that guy, C.S. Lewis? Yes, the same one who wrote the Chronicles of Narnia. Well, he had some pretty interesting ideas about joy and suffering. In his book, The Problem of Pain, Lewis says something that, first glance, seems like a slap in the face. Think with me. God whispers in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, shouts in our pains. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world. Wow, right? as if Lewis were saying, "Hey, pay attention. These difficult moments might be just the push you need to grow and find deeper joy." It's not easy to swallow, I know, but let's keep exploring this. Lewis wasn't just any guy talking about nice things. He lived through intense experiences of pain and loss. He lost his mother as a child, faced the horrors of World War I, and later suffered deeply from the death of his wife, Joy. So when he talks about finding joy in difficult times, it's not just lip service. It's knowledge distilled in the fire of real suffering. In Surprised by Joy, Lewis describes his personal journey from a staunch atheist to one of the greatest Christian apologists of the 20th century. He talks about an incessant search for something he called joy, with a capital J. It wasn't fleeting happiness, but something deeper, a glimpse of eternity that left him with an inexplicable longing. Lewis argued that this quest for joy was, in fact, a search for God, even when we don't recognize it. He wrote, "If I find in myself a desire which no experience in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that I was made for another world." Then, how does this apply to our everyday life, especially when we're going through tough times? Lewis would say that these difficult moments are opportunities. Opportunities for what? To grow, to deepen our understanding of life, and yes, to find a more authentic and lasting joy. In the Screwtape Letters, Lewis plays with the idea that comfort might be our greatest spiritual enemy. Through the character Screwtape, an experienced demon, he suggests that prosperity knits a man to the world. In other words, when everything is going well, it's easy to forget to seek something deeper. Lewis wasn't saying we should seek suffering, far from it. But he challenges us to see beyond immediate circumstance. In Mere Christianity, he writes, "I hope no reader will suppose that contentment means not desiring more and better after experiencing it. Anyone who has advanced in school or any craft knows that the pleasure of doing something well is different from the pleasure of learning to do it." This is a powerful perspective for tough times. What if we could see our challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities for learning and growth? What if, instead of just wishing for the difficulties to pass, we could ask ourselves, what can I learn from this? How can I grow through this? Lewis reminds us that true joy is not in the absence of problems, but in the presence of a greater purpose. He believed that each person had a unique calling, a specific mission in this world. In The Weight of Glory, he writes, "There are no ordinary people. You have never talked to a mere mortal." This perspective changes everything, doesn't it? If every person, including you, has a unique and glorious purpose, then every challenge can be seen as part of a greater journey. Every difficulty becomes an opportunity for growth, every pain a chance to deepen our understanding and compassion. Lewis invites us to look beyond the present moment, to see our struggles as part of a larger story. And in that story, joy is not only possible in difficult times, it is a promise, a glimpse of what is to come. Let's take a pause and reflect for a moment. When was the last time you felt truly happy? Now think, when was the last time you experienced deep joy? Seems like the same thing, doesn't it? But my dear friend, C.S. Lewis invites us to see these experiences in a completely different way. Lewis, in his characteristic wit, made a crucial distinction between happiness and joy. For him, happiness was like ice cream on a hot day. Delicious, refreshing, but ephemeral. It's that pleasant feeling when you receive a gift, get a compliment, or achieve a goal. Wonderful, no doubt, but fleeting. But joy? That's another story. In Surprised by Joy, Lewis describes it as an unsatisfied desire which is itself more desirable than any other satisfaction. It's like a longing for a place where we've never been, but somehow we know, in the depths of our being, that it exists. It's that feeling that there is something greater, more significant beyond our everyday little world. Think of it as the difference between quenching your thirst with a glass of water and diving into a deep ocean. Happiness quenches a momentary need. Joy connects us with something transcendent. Lewis argued that this deep joy was, in fact, an indicator of our connection with the divine. In his own words, "If I find in myself a desire which no experience in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that I was made for another world." But don't be mistaken, this joy isn't always easy or comfortable. In fact, Lewis sometimes described it as a delicious pain. It's that tightness in your chest when you contemplate something of overwhelming beauty, or that bittersweet feeling of nostalgia catches you by surprise. Now you might be thinking, okay, I get the difference. But how does this help me with my real problems? Excellent question. Understanding this distinction can radically change our approach to life, especially in difficult times. When we only seek happiness, we are at the mercy of circumstances. A bad day at work, an argument with a friend, or a global pandemic can easily knock us down. But when we cultivate joy, we connect with something deeper and more enduring. Lewis wrote in Mere Christianity, God made us, invented us as a man invents an engine. Car is made to run on petrol, and it would not run properly on anything else. Now God designed the human machine to run on himself. He himself is the fuel our spirits were designed to burn, or the food our spirits were designed to feed on. That's why it's no good asking God to make us happy in our own way without bothering about religion. God cannot give us happiness and peace apart from himself, because it is not there. There's no such thing. This doesn't mean we should ignore or belittle moments of happiness. On the contrary, they are precious gifts we should savor. But understanding that there is something deeper can give us an anchor in turbulent times. Think of it like a tree. Happiness is the leaves, beautiful, vital, but transient. Joy is like the roots, deep, resilient, capable of sustaining the tree even in the most violent storms. So, the next time you feel down because life isn't providing those moments of happiness you long for, stop and reflect. Perhaps it's an opportunity to seek that deeper joy. It might be through contemplation, prayer, an act of kindness to others, or simply recognizing the beauty in something seemingly ordinary. Remember, as Lewis teaches us, true joy does not depend on external circumstances, but on our connection with something greater than ourselves. And that connection? Well, it's always within our reach, no matter how dark the times seem. Let's be honest. Life isn't always a bed of roses. Sometimes it feels more like a turbulent ocean, full of giant waves ready to swallow us whole. It's in these moments that C.S. Lewis' words become even more relevant. Think with me. When you're in the eye of the storm, with problems piling up on all sides, it's easy to lose perspective, isn't it? It's as if the whole world has turned into one big dark cloud. But what if we could step back and look beyond the storm? Lewis had a fascinating view on this. He said, "It is not the happy moments themselves that make life valuable, but the identity of the person who experiences." Stopping to reflect, that's incredibly profound. It's as if he were telling us, hey, it's not the happy moments that define who you are. It's who you become when facing challenges. Imagine you're climbing a mountain. Every obstacle, every stone in the path, every moment when you think of giving up, all of that is shaping you, strengthening you. The joy isn't necessarily at the top of the mountain, but in the person you become during the climb. Now let's take a look at the Bible. Remember that passage in James 1, verse 2-4? Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. At first glance, this seems crazy, doesn't it? Who in their right mind would be happy about problems? But the idea here isn't spiritual masochism. It's the understanding that these difficulties can be the most fertile ground for incredible growth. It's as if each problem were a personal trainer for our soul. They challenge us, push us beyond our limits, make us question, and in the process, make us stronger, wiser, and paradoxically, more capable of experiencing deep joy. Lewis also wrote something that gives me chills just thinking about it. God allows us to go through difficult times for a reason. They remind us that this world is not our home. Wow, it's a powerful reminder that maybe we're seeking complete satisfaction in the wrong place. But how to apply this in practice? Well, the next time you feel overwhelmed, try this exercise. Stop and take a deep breath. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this situation? Imagine yourself 5 years from now, looking back. How would you like to have handled this moment? Remember other storms you've faced and overcome. The truth is, navigating life's storms isn't easy. There will be days when you feel like you're sinking, and you know what? That's okay. Being joyful doesn't mean denying difficulties or pretending everything is always fine. True joy, the one Lewis often spoke of, is deeper. The conviction that even in the midst of the storm, there is a greater purpose at work. It's the certainty that each challenge is shaping you, preparing you for something beyond your current understanding. As Lewis beautifully put it, pain insists upon being attended to. God whispers in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pains. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world. So my friend, the next time you find yourself in the middle of a storm, remember, you're not just surviving, you're transforming. And in that transformation, you can discover a deeper and more lasting joy than you ever imagined possible. Great. Theory is beautiful, but how do we put this into practice? Let's dive deep into ideas inspired by Lewis and biblical wisdom, exploring concrete ways to cultivate joy, even when life seems to be against us. 1. Cultivate gratitude. Start your day by listing 3 things you're grateful for. It can be something simple like the smell of coffee in the morning or a stranger's smile on the street. Lewis once wrote, "Praise more for the radiant glass of wine than for the empty one." The idea here is to train our eyes to see the good, even amidst chaos. Try keeping a gratitude journal. Write in it every day, even if it's just 1 line. Over time, you'll notice a shift in your perspective. 2. Connect. Lewis greatly valued friendship. He said, "Friendship is born at the moment when one person says to another, 'What, you too? I thought I was the only one.'" Don't isolate yourself. Share your struggles with trusted friends. Being vulnerable can be scary, but it's also liberating. Organize a book club, a Bible study group, or simply a weekly meetup with friends. Genuine human connection is a powerful antidote to discouragement. 3. Find purpose. Lewis believed that everyone had a unique calling. Reflect on how your difficulties might be preparing you for something greater. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this situation? How can I use this experience to help others? Sometimes finding meaning in suffering can transform it into something valuable. Consider doing volunteer work or mentoring someone going through similar difficulties. 4. Practice hope. In Mere Christianity, Lewis wrote, "Hope is one of the theological virtues." This means that a continual looking forward to the eternal world is not, as some modern people think, a form of escapism or wishful thinking, but one of the things a Christian is meant to do. Try visualizing a better future, even when it seems impossible. Create a vision board with images and words that represent your dreams and goals. Look at it every day as a reminder that there is more to life than your current problems. 5. Find joy in the small things. Lewis often spoke about the importance of appreciating the simple joys of life. Make a list of the little things that bring you joy. It could be the sound of birds singing, favorite book, or a cup of hot tea. Try to incorporate at least one of these things into your daily routine. 6. Practice forgiveness. Resentment can be a major obstacle to joy. Lewis said, "Be a Christian means to forgive the inexcusable, because God has forgiven the inexcusable in you." Reflect on who you need to forgive, including yourself. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or excusing wrongdoing, but freeing yourself from the burden of resentment. 7. Cultivate an inner life. Lewis emphasized the importance of reflection and spiritual life. Set aside daily time for meditation, prayer, or simply silence. Disconnect from digital distractions and connect with your inner self and with God. 8. Practice resilience. Lewis wrote, "Hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny. See each challenge as an opportunity for growth. Keep a overcoming journal, where you note the obstacles you've overcome and what you learned from them." 9. Celebrate progress. Don't wait until you achieve big goals to celebrate. Acknowledge and celebrate each small step in the right direction. As Proverbs 17:22 says, "A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones." 10. Share your journey. As you practice these strategies and find moments of joy amidst difficulties, share your experience with others. Your testimony may be the light someone needs to find hope. Remember, practice of joy in difficult times is just that, a practice. Don't get discouraged if it doesn't happen overnight. As Lewis reminds us, it is not the happy moments themselves that make life valuable, but the identity of the person who experiences. Every small act of seeking joy is transforming you into a stronger, more resilient person, more capable of radiating light to others. My dear listener, if you've made it this far, congratulations. You're already practicing one of the most important skills for finding joy: perseverance. And you know what? That's no small feat. As C.S. Lewis once wrote, courage is not simply one of the virtues, but the form of every virtue at the testing point, which means at the point of highest reality. Let's be honest. The journey to joy in difficult times is not a straight line. It's more like an emotional roller coaster, full of ups and downs, unexpected curves, and sometimes loops that leave us upside down. There will be days when you feel on top of the world, capable of conquering anything. And there will be others when you can barely get out of bed, when the weight of the world seems to crush your shoulders. And you know what? That's okay. It's really okay. Lewis, in his wisdom, reminds us, pains and pleasures are the sharps and flats in the music of life. This phrase invites us to see our experiences, both good and bad, as essential parts of a larger symphony. Each note, each chord, contributes to the beauty of the whole. True joy, the one that has endured through the centuries and that Lewis so sought to understand, is not in the absence of problems. No, it resides in the ability to find meaning and growth through them. It's like that passage in Romans 5 verse 3-4. Not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and character, hope. Think about it. Every challenge you face is like exercise for your soul. Just as muscles grow under pressure, so too does our ability to experience deep joy when we face and overcome difficulty. It's a process of refinement, where impurities are burned away, leaving only the gold of true joy. Lewis, in The Problem of Pain, offers us this powerful perspective. Try to exclude the possibility of suffering, which the order of nature and the existence of free wills involve, and you will find that you have excluded life itself. In other words, in seeking a life without difficulties, we risk losing the very experiences that make us truly alive. So what do we do with this information? How do we navigate this turbulent sea of life, seeking joy amidst the storms? First, recognize that you are not alone on this journey. As Lewis so beautifully expressed, friendship is born at the moment when one person says to another, "What, you too? I thought I was the only one." Share your struggles, your victories, your doubts. Vulnerability is not weakness, it's the gateway to deep and meaningful connection. Second, maintain perspective. Remember that this moment, no matter how difficult, is just a chapter in your story. As the old saying goes, this too shall pass. But while it's passing, look for the lessons, the growth, the small joys hidden in the most unlikely corners. Finally, cultivate hope. Not a naive hope that ignores reality, but a robust hope that looks to the future, determination and faith. Lewis encourages us. There is no safe investment. To love at all is to be vulnerable. Love anything, and your heart will certainly be wrung and possibly broken. If you want to make sure of keeping it intact, you must give it to no one, not even an animal. Wrap it carefully round with hobbies and little luxuries. Avoid all entanglements. Lock it up safe in the casket or coffin of your selfishness. But in that casket, safe, dark, motionless, airless, it will change. It will not be broken, it will become unbreakable, impenetrable, irredeemable. So my friend, lift your head, take a deep breath and take the next step on your journey, knowing that each challenge is an opportunity to discover a deeper, more enduring joy. You are stronger than you think, more resilient than you imagine, and there is a joy waiting for you that surpasses any difficulty. As Lewis so wisely said, there are far, far better things ahead than any we leave behind. Who knows what unexpected and wonderful joys await you just around the next bend? Shall we continue? The journey goes on, and the joy is there, waiting to be discovered.